will be a small ramp and step to facilitate entrance into the building, and the floor plane is established in the historic building, so we can't change it. And on 7th Street, in addition to removing the 2 curb cuts that Drew mentioned, we'll be adding 3. But one of the nice things about it is that 2 of the 3 will be in the location of existing curb cuts, and we're actually going to be using old historic warehouse buildings for our garage entrance and exit. And then there's a larger curb cut in place for a new loading dock that will allow delivery trucks to completely get off the site and turn around inside of the loading dock, so they don't have to stop on the avenue. Should we move down to the photos, you think? or-
Just a couple other things to point out. We will have bike racks on L Street and 7th, and then also at the entrance along New York Avenue in between the planter pits.
And we have bio-retention on,
Yes,
on L Street.
on L Street, which is a DDOE requirement to help mitigate help improve your stormwater management on the site. And then also, we kind of talked about it a little bit, parking. We are well above the requirement for parking for this building. It will be 300 parking spots. So we're helping as much as we can to mitigate any impacts as far as parking on the streets, because we do know it is congested now with the convention center right next door. So just to give you
So this is a view, a bird's eye view. This is New York Avenue, and this is 7th Street. This building represents kind of the edge of our site in this direction, and it's an historic building. This is our new 11-story addition to the historic buildings. This is the former Eagle Bar, which right now sits about here, and we're moving it intact, the whole building. And this is the former Midas Muffler Repair Shop, and that'll remain where it is. So that'll help to continue the historic character of the street. There are a few buildings here that aren't a part of our project that are in pretty decent shape, historic buildings that are occupied. They'll remain. And then down 7th Street, we have a very nice row of intact historic buildings. And that's pictured here. And this is the new side entrance to the tower that Drew spoke about earlier on. Here's a close-up detail of that. There's several kind of, this is from 1931, it's an Art Deco building. There are a number of buildings from the Victorian era that are in pretty good shape that we'll be restoring. There'll be retail on the first floor. The tenants will have an opportunity to also take the second floor if they choose, and then the rest will be office space that connects to the office building.
Okay, we're just dealing with the public space.
Right, so 7th Street is maintained for the most part as it is. And then this is the L Street, the back of the building, and these are, unfortunately, the tree blocks one, but these are both older warehouse buildings. Our garage entrance and exit through existing openings, and then this is the large new truck dock that'll afford the opportunity to get trucks off the street and into the dock to turn around to move and to make deliveries. And then this, of course, is also all new sidewalks, and this is one of our bio-retention gardens.
So this project is in Commissioner Nigro's single-member district. I'll turn to
Can I
her.
ask a question? So, all my constituents are very excited about this, but the project is finally moving forward. We're excited for the bike racks. We're terribly excited that the delivery trucks will be able to go inside and turn around and deliver inside the building, especially for the residents of the Paradise Garden apartment complex that is directly across the street. So it's a benefit to them not to have all these trucks there. The only thing that I do not support, and many of the commissioners are already familiar with, I do not support any bricks on the sidewalk, and Drew is aware of this. And so I asked for that's because, the reason why is because when they're put down, and literally after a year, they start to come back up. And so the problem is, there is zero maintenance within the DC government. It took 2 years of emails for me to get repair work on M Street. So it's great when it's put down, but fast forward, the maintenance, which is not part of Douglas Development, does not really happen. So there's the problem. So I support everything else but bricks. So I asked the commissioners to please consider that, but I'll be asking for that.
And we are meeting with Office of Planning and DDOT tomorrow, actually, to go through this a little bit more. We're still finalizing some of this with them, but that will be something we will
Mark,
voice
you have a
to them.
question?
Well, you stole my thunder.
We're very anti-brick here at 6
I am totally against the pavers and bricks. The cityscape in front of, at K Street, it's a disaster. all those pavers come up, people trip over them all the time. We can't even figure out who's responsible for the upkeep of it. The city says, well, we are for so many feet, and you are for so many feet. It's a disaster. People are falling, kids are getting hurt. So I agree with Rochelle on that point. I'd rather see a regular sidewalk with a whole
Concrete
bunch
sidewalk.
Concrete sidewalk.
concrete sidewalk rather than, the beauty of the aesthetics is fine, but it's a mess when something goes wrong and somebody gets hurt. So I will, my personal opinion, I would support the whole doodah, except I will not have pavers
And
and
it's less
bricks.
expensive for you guys, just pour some
So
cement and we're very happy.
there is always the option to do stamped concrete that looks like brick. And so
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
be much more viable.
Right.
It took me a year and 4 months to get a sidewalk repaired that has bricks on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we
Yes.
all feel the same way.
So Commissioner Nigro, is your recommendation that all of the paving around?
I'll include that,
the
Marge,
square?
because I've seen your papers down there, so.
Or
The
is it
only
just
area-
L Street that you're talking about?
Any bricks or anywhere in the whole, I just get a
The one
concrete
thing-
truck there and pour this sidewalk and call it a day.
We are not impacting 7th Street other than that one entrance right there.
The curb cut.
That's the only area where we are gonna be taking up anything and putting anything back.
So anything, this replies to anything new, anything new that you guys have done.
Sir, I'm gonna let you have the one question from the audience.
Yes, sir, I have a question. You mentioned the loading dock for trucks. What size is it? What's the height of it? And how, you say go and turn around. What size trucks are you building for? A box truck or a rail or what?
We're accommodating 30-foot long box trucks, and the height, I don't know the exact number, but it's actually taller than the number zoning requires, because we know that in some parts of the city, when the box trucks go over the driveway hump, they end up being a little taller than what people expect.
They built the tunnel. The truck height is 13.6. That's the law. The highest truck. If you don't have 14 feet or 15 feet high, you're not gonna get truck that
Yeah,
size.
the code minimum is 14.6, and I think we're a little bit higher than that. Right.
Sometimes they build them and trucks can't get in. This is the truck city, everything come by truck. No
All right.
truck trailers, right? Just box
So
trucks.
we're gonna
Correct.
turn to Commissioner Nigro for a motion.
Okay. I motion that AMC 6E support the public space request for 655 New York Avenue, the proposed curb cuts, the new street lights, the proposed tree and planters, the bio retention planters, the bike racks, and the Pepco vaults and the planter boxes, but not to support the paving plan for anything that's new, and that would include brick pavers and the concrete pavers.
So you recommend stamped concrete.
Or concrete.
Any, just plain concrete, that's anything but the bricks and the pavers, anything.
Second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor,
Yes.
say no.
I would like to
One
see
quick
the
question.
picture again of what the buildings
Please,
are going to
please
look like. on-
share that
on
with
L
the
Street.
constituent. But we'll
Yes.
go ahead and move on the motion. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you very much. So the next matter is one that I need to recuse myself from because it impacts an application by my employer. So I'm going to ask Commissioner Nigro to take over the chair, and I will actually leave the room, and I will return after the commissioner's vote.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Commissioner of the Arts, that's right.
Ralph, are you presenting?
I think we're all gonna stand up.
Okay, so you wanna just-
They're doing the heavy.
So the next we have, this is 700 block of P Street, the south side. They're coming to the commission to support for an application for funding for the DC Commission of Arts. This is for Shaw Main Street, for public art. That's why Alex had to, because he is the executive director.
I'll only speak very briefly, but my name is Ralph Brabham. I'm chairman of the board of Shaw Main Street. We are the grantee in this request before the commission tonight. I think everyone in the room is familiar with Shaw Main Streets. Among our many missions are to improve the aesthetics of the commercial corridors of the Shaw neighborhood and to celebrate its history. We are thrilled to be a part of this project, which advances both causes. And I will pass this on to our partner in this, which is Roadside Development and Longview Gallery.
Good evening, my name is Susan Linsky. I've worked with Roadside Development on City Market for 8 years. And we are really happy that we will be enlivening the space that we've heard so much about, the dark space on 7th, on P Street between 7th and 8th Street. We have a great concept, and I'm going to let Drew from Longview take it over.
I'm Drew, I'm the director at Longview Gallery, and much like Ralph and Susan said, we are also very excited to be a part of bringing something we think is going to be a very unique public art piece, not only to Shaw, but to Washington, D.C. as a whole. I think once I talk you through as quickly as possible what's planned for the space, you'll see why we believe this is going to be the most unique public art experience that you're going to find in the district. So quickly, we're here to ask for the ANC support in our application for the PABC grant through the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. The proposed site, which many of you have probably seen, are the 6 empty niches on the back of the City Market at O development. It's the back side of the historic market. It's a space centered between, on the east, the Hodge building, the senior living building, and on the west, the East Department building. So this is a photo of the site. You see the 6 empty niches. A couple more pictures of the site just to help you orient yourself.
Is it the side of the Hodge?
I'm sorry?
Is it the side of the Hodge
Yeah,
building?
and
Okay.
it's a Hodge and backs up to Giant.
Okay.
So the artist that's been selected, many of you are probably familiar with his work and aren't familiar with his name. Zachary Oxman, I guess as he's professionally known, is most well known in our neighborhood anyway for the amazing Duke Ellington sculpture that's in front of the newly renovated Howard Theater. Zach was commissioned through the Commission on the Arts and Humanities to do that piece. And because it was so well received, also because he's an artist we work with at Longview Gallery, we're excited to bring him back to the neighborhood to do something else. As you'll see, the new project is going to look very different from what this Duke Ellington sculpture did. So here's a couple examples of Zach's work. The Duke Ellington piece that most people I think are familiar with. A couple other pieces just from around the country so you can see the breadth of work that he has done over the years. Zach is a local artist, born and raised in Washington, D.C. His father owned a hardware store in Northeast. His wife, Jana, her family she was born, her family grew up in this town as well, owned grocery stores on Capitol Hill. So this is a very small, faraway picture of what's proposed for the niches. I'm going to do my best to explain to you guys what this is going to end up looking like in person. It's sort of hard without being able to see one in real life, but I'm going to do my best. Despite it being a sculpture, it is a fixed piece of artwork. The sculpture is going to feel very kinetic. It's going to feel like it moves because of the reflective surfaces that Zach uses. As you move past or around or closer to or farther away from the artwork, what you see changes. And it doesn't change slightly. It's going to be changing drastically based on your positioning in relation to the artwork. So this is P Street. These are the 6 niches that you saw, and the 3 niches that look like they have large clumps of things. In this picture, they just look like large clumps. They're not large clumps. Zach is choosing to focus on 3 very historically well-known Washingtonians. And there will be a form of a portrait of these 3 folks that end up in these niches. So the 3 subjects that he's choosing to focus on, one are Duke Ellington again. Yes, I recognize Duke Ellington again. But this version, the way he's choosing to represent Duke in this art piece is going to feel wholly different than what's happening in front of the Howard Theater. I feel like I don't need to go through and explain who all of these people are. I think everyone will be familiar with who they are. Robert Gould Shaw, namesake for our neighborhood. Seems like he's a no-brainer, such a fantastic person to celebrate in the space. And one of my favorites working in the art world, Alma Thomas, one of the original artists from the Washington Color School, sort of the most famous art movement that our city is known for. Local Washingtonian, fantastic woman, the one I'm most excited about seeing brought to life in this artwork. I love all 3 of them. So quickly, a little video of a piece of Zach's work so you can understand what I mean about them being kinetic and seeming to move. So the boxes, as you see them built, literally have a half sphere cut into the box, and that sphere is mirrored. So everything on the inside you can see is sparkling. That's actually a mirrored half moon, if you will. Floating in the center of that moon is another sphere that's painted, it's colorful. So as you move past them, that color reflects in the space in the background. So you'll see as the camera pans around, the image of what you're seeing changes completely. So these three happen to be globes. We're not going to be using globes on this project. But you notice they go from almost colorless to that reflected area being full of color and full of information that's bouncing from the backside of the globe. Hopefully the video kind of helps. So you can see here, the colors almost disappear when you're at the side, but as you move around, the reflection brings the pieces to life. So Zach is continuing on this theme, and it's going to create something very similar with these figures that I mentioned before. So it will make more sense, I hope, in a few more pictures. You have to imagine this being a similar experience to what we just saw. That is a conical shaped, sort of mirrored stainless steel structure with a ball floating in the center. So from many angles, all you will see is the ball. The ball is going to look like a pop art painted circle floating in the middle of a bunch of mirrors. But as you move around them, it's ultimately going to end up being portraits of these folks. So this is just showing you from source material to drawing and coloring to then what it ends up looking like using these architectural programs that he works in. And there's actually a video of what you would see as you experience it. So this is walking down P Street, coming up on the Shaw portion of the sculpture. What happens as you walk by it? So you'll see, at first, all you're going to see is the colorful ball in the center. There will be some fixed parts of his portrait as well, and you can see the curved shape of the work. And then as you walk by, the reflection of that ball ends up on the mirrors around. And ultimately, you will arrive at a sweet spot when you're standing in the exact right position, and you're going to see those three portraits at every sweet spot. There's just a few more advantages, and to give you some scale about how large these are going to be. When I work with Zach, normally those globes that you saw are 30 by 30 boxes. We're talking 6 to 8 feet square here, so this is going to be at an enormous scale. So just some specifics about the project. Zach works in stainless steel. It's going to be all stainless steel. The colorful parts will all be automotive paint for longevity's sake. The abstracted portraits that we talked about, where those sweet spots exist, there will be plaques in the ground that give you information about the historical figures you're looking at. So maybe you don't even realize, walking down the street, that you're going to see a portrait of Duke Ellington. If you stop and read a plaque on the ground about Duke Ellington that ends with the line, "Look up," or "Pick your head up," or something, and you actually look up, you're going to be confronted with these portraits you don't necessarily expect to see. And then we have plans for lighting also at night. So it will be 24 hours a day, everyone can experience it. We also will not be taking away any parking spots. We will not be closing any roads. So here's our grant request, as Alex was saying earlier. The maximum that you can ask for from the Commission on the Arts and Humanities is $100,000. The PABC grants provide a 1-to-1 cash match. So thankfully Roadside is coming in on this project as well. So we get granted the $100,000 from the Commission. Roadside matches that grant as well. And then we have a lot of public interactions that we've already started discussing in the early planning stages of this project. I'm sure more will evolve over time, but just some that we've come up with. We will obviously do a huge ribbon cutting. As hopefully you could tell from just what I've said briefly, it's going to be a really cool art piece that I think will get a lot of press and a lot of attention, not only for the piece and for the development, but also for the neighborhood. So we'll definitely want to do a lot of artist talks surrounding the piece. Definitely a Kids Day. Alma Thomas was an art teacher, so we would like this to be educational for students, not only in our neighborhood, but around the district. And then I think we're about to hear another presentation for some other art happening in our neighborhood. I know Shaw Artworks have been planned, art walks have been planned in the past for public art that already exists in the neighborhood, so we would like to continue that idea with this piece as well. And that's all.
Thanks, Drew. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions? Oh, Marge?
Of course, you know I have to
Okay.
say something. I live at the building where the sculpture is called Flight Something, and everybody in the entire world refers to it as Big Bird. I look at this, and I have feelings that people are going to give it a nickname, and it's not going to be representative of the great Shaw person or the great person that you are looking to have it be representative of. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad idea or a good idea. I just think that you need to promote it well enough that people are not going to give it an odd name, because we also have that blue monster that's on the side of our building, and since we named the yellow thing Big Bird, the
Right.
blue thing is Cookie Monster. So, and it was not, and there was no community input. They were just slapped together and put up by the Commission of the Arts, and nobody likes them and nobody particularly cares about them.
Right.
And also, who's going to maintain this piece of art?
So maintenance is agreed upon through contract with Longview Gallery, the artist, and Roadside. So SAC is always involved in maintenance of his pieces, much like the Ellington piece in front of the Howard Theater.
And
And
it is
similarly
on our
with
property.
Roadside.
We are working with them to keep it maintained.
Okay. The only,
And I mean, my response to your question about people giving it a name, which maybe sounds like a cop-out answer, but all art is subjective, and I don't think it would matter what we did or any public art piece. People will always come up with something else to call it. It will be given a title. Zach titles all of his work, so there will be a formal title, but I'm sure people will come up with.
publicity of the formal title might help people not to give it a nickname of something that is not particularly positive.
Right.
Great. Any comments from the audience before we motion?
What's the proposed time?
So maybe, as you can tell, we're well on our way into the design process. This grant application is due on October 17th. Hopefully we would hear sooner, but I don't think we're going to wait. So I would think this is,
Are there others competing for this? Or is
it's
it-
an open grant period. There's no, I don't know how much they give out per year. It's a grant year, so it's for the FY15. I don't know what the limit or how much money they have in their budget.
So there's actually no competition for this piece?
With roadside, no.
There's no competition with this piece, no.
So this is going in whether we like it or not, so to speak?
It's our property, and this is the, what we selected Longview Gallery because they are a Shaw business, and they're also a CBE. And we believe Drew and his team have a great sense of what the neighborhood is and how they want to represent it.
Great. Okay, so
Is there a time?
Sorry, so 6 months. It should be done no later than Q2 next year, finished.
okay, great. Thanks for the presentation. Okay, I motion that ANC 6E support the application for $100,000.
Yes.
For the funding for the DC Commission, from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities for the art projects on the 700 block of P Street Northwest. And this is with Shaw Main Streets.
God, I wish we could include Fix the Streets.
Do I have a second? A second. Okay, so Frank seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thanks very much.
You got this.
Susan, do you know who's responsible for fixing this?
Okay, we'll wait until Alex to come back in, and next we have the 400 block of P Street.
Fixing the road, it's a disaster. Okay.
Thanks. Can I turn this off, it won't blow the bulb?
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
No.
Go ahead. What? Yeah, you can turn it on. Hi. Thanks. Can we use the mic or?
If you like.
Oh, did you need it?
Do you want me to hold it?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could, because I'm gonna run out of time. Great, thanks. Good evening, I'll be brief. My name's Charles Bergen, I'm an artist, I live on Capitol Hill. Earlier this year I did a sculpture for the Animal Alphabet Project, which goes around a number of intersections on Capitol Hill, and which began with different letters of the alphabet. So on G Street there's a grasshopper, and on F Street, F and First, there's this funny dinosaur here, this Falcarius, which is being chased by a Capitalosaurus. And while it might just seem like a great dinosaur sculpture for the kids in the park, it's a little bit about Capitol Hill history, because in 1890 there were some Capitalosaurus bones found while digging for sewer pipes. So it tells history and engages people and hopefully appeals to different age groups. And the reason why I'm here is I'm applying to a grant at the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, the individual grant, to do some sculptures on primarily on 5th Street, but it's around the Kipshaw campus, the Bundy Dog Park, and 3 churches there, Third Baptist Church, Hemingway Temple AME, and Springfield Baptist Church. And all of these organizations are in the process of writing sort of enthusiastic support letters for the project. And what we would be doing would be putting sculptures similar to this, obviously not dinosaurs, but ones that engage the neighborhood and the history and also the activities in the same, hopefully in the same playful way. And it would be on a number of lampposts. At this point we're looking at about 8 lampposts and then over 4 gates. One gate would be the gate over the to the Kipshaw School on 5th Street there. And then the 2 gates into Bundy Field off the alley, and then another gate into the Bundy Dog Park. So it'd be just long fence. Who put up those fences? I've gotten prices to extend the fence posts above the gate, and so we'd have a fun sign for the dog park, a great sign for the school, and 2 signs for the fields. And then around the various the 3 churches, and also on 2 of the lampposts in front of the Kipshaw campus, one on P Street and one on 5th Street, we'd have on the DDOT lampposts sculptures like this. They're automotive. Wasn't going to go into the paint, but it's 1/4-inch thick aluminum. It's water jet cut, and then it's automotive paint, so it's a very durable finish. And so I've started to do some drawings for these various sculptures. I don't have a PowerPoint this evening, but we are, obviously, if we get the grant, we'd be, developing the designs more. And each one of these designs takes a good bit of time just to work through it, get feedback, get everybody on board, that type of thing. So why I'm here is really just to get a letter of support from the ANC supporting my grant application. There's no money being asked for from the ANC, and it's an individual grant, so there's no match required. Okay, thanks.
Have all the temple and the Springfield and 3rd Street and Kip, they've all agreed?
Yes, they've all agreed to it.
So I represent the community across from most of the Second Northwest Co-op, which is a very large garden-style apartment.
Sure.
So I'd like to include them in the discussion.
Sure.
When these meetings happen.
Sure.
Or if you can even have one within the community, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Because they're very active, they're interested in what goes on in that park.
Sure.
And a lot of the residents have been
Sure.
there for decades, so.
Okay. Yeah, and there's no reason why we can't include a number more signs. The problem I had was that you have to just pass out flyers 3 blocks. So each time we move the boundary out, the number of flyers we had to just
Oh, that's
do.
fine, because they're very, so it's like,
Sure.
I'll just get the word out, and then we can maybe have a meeting
Okay.
within the community.
Be great.
So I think that this combined with other art projects along what is referred to by the Office of Planning as the P Street Greenway would be wonderful additions to the neighborhood. So Any other comments from members of the commission? Hearing none, I move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E provide a letter of support for Charles Bergen's application for funding for sculpture on the 400 block of P Street and adjacent blocks from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, and that we communicate that support to the director of the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, and I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
It's been probably moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks
Get
very
that word
much.
to you, and good luck.
Okay, thanks. I actually have to upload all the letters to the.
We'll get you an
Yeah,
electronic
that'd be great. Okay, thanks very much.
DC Circulator,
Thank you.
most folks remember that there was a circulator route that ran from the southwest waterfront up to O Street that was suspended during the construction of City Market. DDOT is proposing to reestablish the service, but only to have it go as far as M as in Michael Street, not any further. The commission and the community had previously requested it be extended to Howard University. There is a route that is supposed to go east-west from Howard University, so I would like to get the support of the commission to encourage that the turnaround be R Street rather than M Street, so that you have the ability of more people from the neighborhood to be able to benefit and to use the service. So, any comments from my colleagues? Hearing none. I move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E communicate the recommendation that the northern terminus of the reestablished Southwest to Shaw circular route be R Street Northwest. We communicate that to the Director of the District Department of Transportation and our Ward 6 Councilor for his support. I would ask for a second.
Second.
Since we probably moved in second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
I made a quick comment.
Really?
I think you get a lot of support for that from Southwest ANC. They've articulated in the past a huge interest in being able to get all the way to Howard University.
I will be sure to reach out to the chair. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Moms Against Guns, is there a representative present?
They had to leave. Unfortunately,
Okay.
they're so late in the agenda that they can't stay.
They don't have business before us.